All this computer hacking is making me thirsty.
All I wanna do is drink beer for breakfast.
Suds and security.
All I wanna eat is them barbecue chips. All I want is someone just to try to protect us.
Do your thing.
It's time for Suds and Security.
I love it.
From beautiful downtown Fort Myers.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh, my God, it's right there. I love that you did that.
Gotta love it. Okay, we're broadcasting you again from the Dead Code Cafe in the CTC, which
Love
is the
it.
Cyber Training Center.
Cyber
which
Training
we're opening
Center.
up right here in beautiful downtown Fort Myers.
Yes, 2211 Widman Way.
Can't beat it. Can't
Love
beat it.
that.
It's gonna
Love
be
that.
awesome.
Today's podcast sponsored by Cybersecurity Defense Solutions, making cybersecurity habit. We're at 2022 Hendry Street, Fort Myers, Florida.
Can't beat it.
Love it. What's up? What's going on?
So tell me about this newfangled device
Oh my
you
gosh.
bought today.
So here's a cool thing. So it just came in today. So I bought this new camera system for my house. I got this cool DVR. I hooked the cameras up to it. Wham, bam, thank you, Greg.
and
I got video. I mean, it's awesome.
And then your internet connection slowed down to nothing, right?
Well, no. I mean, it has a separate input. I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I can tell you this. I can go on my phone then with an app, and I can view my video, everything that's going on. Love it. I'm very excited. Can't wait to get it installed this week.
Can't wait. Huh? So don't do it. So
I got some other cool things too. I got a Nest now in my house. I don't know if I told you about that.
Okay for now.
I got a new washer and dryer that tells me the status, everything over the internet about when it's done, and I can look at my app and see when the washer's done. I can move things to the dryer, and called Internet of Things.
Well, we'll
Greg.
talk. We'll look at the podcast Internet of Things. We'll talk about Internet of Things today. We're going to talk.
I'm just very excited about it.
I know, but calm down. It's okay.
I'm drinking Coors, for God's sakes.
Hey, I still got the Winter Haven,
The banquet beer.
Winter Lager. It's very floral. Today we're going to talk about DDoS, distributed denial of service attacks. Right, been in the news lately. They've been happening.
I had DOS on my first computer.
Because they're the
coolest thing in the world.
They're doing away with DOS now. So you
coolest
see
thing in the world. I had DOS 6.0.
Yeah.
Double space. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh,
Double
yeah,
space
double
was on there.
space. Yeah,
I took my 10 megabyte hard drive, which I knew I could never fill up. I made it a 20 megabyte hard drive.
Yeah, our videos
and then DOS 6.2 came out because somebody sued Microsoft and they couldn't double space. Probably a hard drive manufacturer, somebody. And I was a dummy and installed DOS 6.2 because I wanted the latest and greatest, and double space wasn't there.
Gone.
Yeah.
Nice.
Back down to 10.
So no more DOS in the next version of Windows probably is in the news today.
Didn't know that.
PowerShell will now be the default command line. cmd.exe out of Windows.
Wow.
So no more DOS in Windows. But we're talking about a different kind of DOS. We're talking about not disk operating system. We're talking about denial of service attacks. So you might have heard those in the news. Some big denial of service attacks a couple weeks ago. People couldn't get to Twitter, couldn't get to Spotify, couldn't get to a few.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago.
It was against Dyn, which is a dynamic DNS provider. It's a little bit technical, but basically it's the provider that
makes the internet work, man.
Makes the internet work.
There you go.
And they were DOSed. And it was a very large DOS, a very large denial of service attack. So I think people hear those terms. I have a case, obviously, I can talk about abstractly a little bit that we worked on here over the past month that I think it will kind of bring it home to some of the small business owners of why this is important, but maybe kind of understanding what a DOS is or a DDoS is, and how you can protecting against it's tough, but why it happens and that kind of stuff. So what is a distributed denial of service attack? Got a nice little picture here. Hopefully you can see it. But it's basically a whole bunch of computers on the internet attacking a single host at one time.
You put some work
right?
into this, didn't you?
Well, it's an interesting topic, right? Because from a cyber defense standpoint, it's very difficult to defend against, right? So if you have hosted services somewhere with a static IP address and you're not paying a provider to help you with that denial of service mitigation, even if you are, sometimes they're hard to defend against. When you start talking about what happened with Dyn, what happened last week, this is a huge provider, right? And they couldn't defend against it. So defending against something like this is very, very difficult. It's a whole bunch of computers, hundreds of thousands of computers on the internet, all attacking your computer or your internet connection.
So
at the same time.
why would somebody's computer attack my computer?
So think about it. So it's disruption of business. So I'll give you an example of this. So we have a client, I can't say who it is, but they call this after being DOSed for like 6 or 7 weeks. So their business couldn't function. 6 or 7 weeks.
Right, because you couldn't get out on the internet.
Can't do
right?
anything, and then you can't check email.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a huge loss.
Everybody's
of productivity.
business is internet-based, whether you think it is or not.
That's
You
what
can't get
happens.
email. Your website can't be accessed.
Yeah, it's a huge
If you have
deal.
IP phones, you're not going to be able to use your phones. Yeah.
Again, just think about all the stuff you do on your internet.
Yeah.
On the internet, everything's down on the internet, right?
Yep.
So that's what a DOS attack is. It's an attacker or a group of attackers that have control of some kind of botnet, so hundreds of thousands of computers, and they say, I want you to then flood this computer with traffic, right? And that's what they did with Dyn.
Kind of like what the like Chris Christie did with the bridge in New Jersey.
If you say so. Allegedly. Why gotta be political about it?
I'm thinking of examples that everybody's heard of and they
Right.
know.
But you start thinking about like all the devices all over the world, right? Then kind of we're talking about cameras, which is what this device is. This is actually a vulnerable device. Yeah, it is.
I wish you would have said that $179 ago.
Yeah, I know, and that's the issue. That these DVRs. This is what happened with the attack that happened. It was a huge denial of service attack. So they measured it at about a terabyte of data a second. So if you think about how much data that is, right? So a terabyte hard drive. There's very few people that I've ever talked to that's filled a terabyte hard drive, right? Besides me or you.
Yep.
And we won't say what content was on
Right.
there. But
Nope. Don't tell my wife.
I'm not saying anything, but that amount of data is just insane, right? And it was through about 500,000 different compromised camera systems, just like this one right here. This is actually a vulnerable one. They had a vulnerability in it and allowed attackers to take control of it. And then think about, it's okay to have one if you compromise one system, but when you start compromising hundreds of thousands of these, and each of them's connected to a high-speed internet line that's between, who knows, probably 5 to 30 megs, for each internet circuit. That amount of traffic gets to be unwieldy after a while, right? So again, a terabyte a second.
So it's like pushing a normal water hose stream through a straw, basically, at that point, right?
A fire hose through a straw.
There you go. That's what I was
like
thinking.
A fire hose through a straw, right?
Yeah.
Again, very difficult to defend against. And it's not just these things that could be used. This just happened to be vulnerable, but there's a ton of these. We just talked about IoT before, and we talked about it in other podcasts, but you think about all these devices people are putting on their network that they're not securing, right? They're using the default passwords. They're not applying patches. They're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing with devices you have on your network. Hackers are able to take control of them, put them as part of their botnet, and then use them for denial of service attacks. It's a big problem because, again, how do you defend against that? If you have a website, unless you're paying a ton of money, even if you have huge amounts of bandwidth, how do you defend against a terabyte a second? I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah,
right?
If they can't, and they're a large, very large
That's my
entity.
My Oprah one. That's what I'll leave up here for us to talk on. I just think it's hilarious. DOS attacks for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'll talk a little bit about the case that we've been working that were these DOS attacks and why it was so difficult. These people, this is a small business, right? And they called us because they needed help. Listen, we've been being attacked for 6 weeks. We can't figure it out. We don't know what's going on. And usually, they've done something to somebody. Somebody's upset. They found their outside IP address. They're DOS them. You change your outside IP address, and usually they go away. In this case, not so much. They've actually switched internet providers. Still getting the DOS attack. So it's obviously someone inside their network that was doing it. It makes it very difficult to try to find that kind of stuff, right? So
But we found it.
We found it. Yeah. They ended up firing the guy that was inside. He was going to some bad. He's a gamer, basically, to come down to. But that's the kind of stuff people don't realize, that when they don't take the security of their network and what people access very, very seriously, what can happen, what the repercussions are. So again, they're probably down 10 weeks total, roughly. Trying to sustain a down period that
cost them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Just in not having productivity, not having people working the way they're supposed to, all that kind of stuff. That's tough. That can happen to anybody. It's not just it's not just businesses. It can happen at home. It happens all the time.
So you're telling me that the people then that always give us the thing, well, our computers aren't important. I mean, what do we have on here that anybody cares about? Nobody wants to hack into our computers. So you're saying that probably why somebody would want to hack into them is not maybe to steal their unimportant data, but maybe just so they can use their computer as a bot.
Absolutely.
And attack other people. Yeah.
Happens all the time. But the botnet is...
That's a lesson for you people that tell us that all the time.
We hear that a lot. Well, our computers don't have anything important.
Yeah,
who would want to hack
us? We're small. There's only 4 of us.
That's right.
Who would care?
Yeah. Well, again, you have an internet connection. That's valuable, right? So, I mean, you can... Just think like a criminal for a second. You think about the cyber criminals who have control of this large botnet that took down one of the largest dynamic DNS providers in the country. Now, who do you want to attack next? It's a weapon now, right? And that weapon's worth money.
Yeah.
So having control of all these devices, whether they're DVRs like this just happened, I think, to be a piece of malware that was released in open source, and then someone took it, which I'm a big open source proponent. But they took that and then ended up infecting a lot of devices on it. But now they have a cyber weapon now to go out and sell to people who want to do things not so. So
I shouldn't have bought this. Okay, we made that clear. But should I not have bought it, or how do I protect myself?
Well, so I think that part of things understanding with this type of stuff is, so you bought it, great. Don't put it flat out on the internet, right? And that's part of the allure of some of these cheaper devices. I think this one was, I think you go buy it at the local, Sam's or Costco or something for $100, right? You want to pipe it through your firewall. You want to get on the internet so you can watch the videos remotely and that kind of stuff. And you really need to be careful about that kind of stuff and understand the security of the devices you have. You need to be able to keep them updated. Unfortunately, with a device like this, the firmware really kind of sucks. You can't update it. It's junk now, right. And that's unfortunate. But you have to be diligent about the things that you're putting on your network and what you're allowing from the outside.
So probably you make sure you always change passwords. Don't use the default admin, right? I mean, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, how many times do we see that?
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, we'll give an
stop
example.
Doing it.
We'll give an example. Let's not give an example.
I
got to give that example. I won't be specific about it, but we have a company, a friend who owns another company, and he was trying to be compliant. We'll say that way, and he failed his compliance test, and so he said, "Hey, would you take a look?" And we said, "Sure." So we did some snooping on the outside of his network, obviously with his permission, and found his internet router. Dick in the wind, I guess is the best way to put it.
Can you say that on a podcast?
I can say anything we want on a podcast.
I don't know what the rules are.
There's no FCC rules on the podcast. But, their internet router, flat on the internet, admin.
Shit.
Right?
Sorry, I had to do it.
There you go, yeah. And that's what he said, shit, right? Because here it is, like, anybody, any junior script kiddie in the world could find that and know that admin's log in their router and cause havoc with their network. Now, they haven't yet, which is good, and obviously we fixed it, but for him, so that he can get his compliance scan done, I laugh at those things. But that's just it. I mean, it's not just, people need to realize it's not just things like this. It's everything, even with a small business that you put on your network, you have to understand, you have to keep up with patches. It's so important. Keeping up with patches and not using default credentials. I mean, we see it everywhere we go. Every time we do an assessment, we always find devices with default credentials on it. And
I mean, if you're going to do nothing else, if you refuse to hire an expert, if you want to do it yourself or whatever, just change the password and the default login information. I mean, if you're going to do nothing else,
that goes such a long way.
That. Yeah.
I mean, it really does for anything you put on your network. Just in case it happens to slip out, right? So,
and if you don't want to call an expert, I mean, we understand. Look, Greg and I started Cybersecurity Defense Solutions so that we could give people an inexpensive, a less expensive way. Small, medium-sized businesses don't have big budgets for this. Humans don't have big. We understand that, and that's why we started. But if you don't even have that much money, at least Google, go out on YouTube, do a little research if you're going to put a device on your network, right? Find out how to set it up and make it secure, because the information's there, and at least put in the effort to make sure that you're not one of the bots that's attacking our dynamic DNS server, so that we're unable to access
or any other servers, right? Or any of our clients, right? I don't want you to be part of that. They had what they call a reverse DNS. a DNS amplification attack, which we can talk about sometime, but
awesome.
No one's probably interested but me.
I'm very interested. I think it's awesome.
But yeah, but that's the key. When you get devices like this, understand what they do. Try not to put them on the internet if you can do that. Make sure they're secure. Make sure they're updated. Change the default login. Change the default settings on the device, so that way they're just not out there for someone to guess and that easily. So.
Awesome. More great advice here on the Sudden Security podcast.
That's what we try to do.
And great beer, and so we appreciate you guys coming, hanging out with us for 15, 20 minutes, and hopefully you learned something. If you want to send us some questions, we've been getting some really good feedback. info@cybersecdefense.com. info@cybersecdefense.com.
Shoot us an email.
Yeah, shoot us an email. We've been getting some great feedback, great questions. We're happy to talk about and answer those questions. We've been getting enough where we're going to dedicate a podcast probably just answering questions.
That's a good idea. I mean, we want to answer questions. We want to help educate people. You know,
and
obviously-
hopefully I'm putting it in layman terms and taking his Chinese and putting it into
Whatever.
into Ohio English.
Yeah,
so
Ohio English, right? Yeah.
hey,
Why would you do that to people?
I just love it.
Yeah. Hey, what?
I just wanted to say thanks.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, that's it for me for today. So,
All right. Well, I'm John.
and I'm Greg. Next time.
See ya.